Drama bin drama arap drama. Over the last couple of months, DP William Ruto has said a lot of things against Raila Odinga. Some of them very offensive. Okay? But what has Raila Odinga done? Raila Odinga has remained mum. He has always left it to his foot soldiers to answer Ruto, to react and respond to Ruto remarks. But yesterday, Raila Amolo Odinga came out with both barrels of his gun firing. Raila responded directly to DP William Ruto. And what is even more puzzling, there are a lot of other things you'd have responded to. This one seemed, at least on the surface, a very harmless remark. DP William Ruto, during the recent concluded tour by President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga to Nyanza, Ruto just said, ukiona Uhuru Kenyatta pande hii, ukiona baba upande hii mwingine, mi napita hapo katikati. Si mambo iko sawa sawa? When you see Uhuru on this side, President Uhuru, and when you see Baba on this other side, I will pass in the middle and everything is okay. That was the seemingly harmless statement that DP William Ruto made. But Raila Odinga did not take to those remarks kindly. He came out and used very strong language. Sample this. It is foolishness for one to say that he stands between me and President Uhuru Kenyatta in the handshake. That is very strong language. And then Raila added, we want people to avoid politics, to keep politics completely out of the handshake. According to Raila, these remarks by Ruto were aimed solely at pushing forward his 2022 political agenda. And according to Raila, this was not the time, and especially it was not the place for DP William Ruto to do that. In other words, what Baba was insinuating was that Ruto get crushed their meeting to push forward his 2022 agenda. Now, one thing you must know, and this is especially for the benefit of those people who don't understand Raila Odinga politics. Raila never ever makes emotional responses. If you took a casual look at this thing, it looks like Raila Odinga just got fed up with DP William Ruto. He got fed up with the fact that the deputy president attacks the handshake at every opportunity. And when he's with Raila and Uhuru, he pretends he's supporting it. He's speaking from both sides of the mouth. He doesn't have a stand, it seems. But it seems he's more against the handshake, because clearly the handshake will frustrate his ambitions to take over as president of Kenya in 2022 and take over presidency with exactly the same powers Uhuru Kenyatta has today. This is very clear, to any political observer worth their salt, who is unbiased. This one is very clear. And so on the surface of things, it would seem that Raila Odinga finally could not bear it anymore. And he got annoyed, and he responded in this way against DP William Ruto. That's what it would seem. However, I've just told you, Raila Odinga never ever makes emotional responses where something serious like this is concerned. Hate him or like him, admire him or loathe him, Raila Odinga has proved that he's a very calculating politician. Probably the only politician of his kind in Kenya today, and that's a fact. The handshake has lifted President Uhuru Kenyatta to a level which he has never been in. That's true. I'm sorry, I'm going to hurt some people by saying that, but it's a fact. We all clearly saw, let me just prove that statement to you. we all clearly saw the kind of advice the president was getting before the elections, mainly from DP William Ruto, and during the elections, from his close circle. That's a story for another day. And we all saw the results of the advice he was getting. It put the president in a very embarrassing situation where the legitimacy of his presidency was a big question mark. Now, just compare that to the moves the president has been making, of course, based on the advice he's getting since the handshake. His presidency has stabilized considerably. Indeed, it is very difficult to believe that this was the same president who had a big legitimacy issue surrounding him after the 2017 elections. I put it to you that one of his chief advisors, at least in terms of politics, because a president receives a lot of advice on very different areas they deal with, but I'm talking about politics. I put it to you that his chief political advisor is Baba. And we can clearly see the results of the advice the president is receiving. I'm not even talking about the backing, the backing which would suggest the kind of clout and power Raila Odinga wields in a nation called Kenya. Because the man simply shakes his hand with Uhuru Kenyatta and says they're going to work together on the 9th of March, and suddenly the country is peaceful. There are not many people who can achieve that. Let's face it. So you cannot give advice about things you don't know. You give advice based on your knowledge, your experience, and your skills. So Raila Odinga is a very skillful, some would say crafty politician. And those kind of politicians don't make remarks carelessly. So the big question we must answer is, what is going on here? Why did Raila suddenly, out of nowhere, come out and attack DP Ruto over a statement that on the surface of things seems harmless? I will answer that burning question immediately after the very brief upcoming commercial break. Don't go away. Now, to answer that question, the question of what is really going on here, why did Raila Odinga wake up one morning and start firing salvos towards DP William Ruto when he has been silent all these months, when Ruto said much more hurting things towards him? Why now? Well, this is what I believe. In politics, timing is everything. Timing is everything. Now, let me illustrate this from a lion hunting, because politics is very much like hunting. There are so many similarities. Contrary to what many people believe, a lion is not fast. It cannot run anywhere near as fast as a cheetah. And that should not be surprising. A cheetah is light. A lion is normally a very heavy animal. So the way it hunts is that it crouches, it approaches very stealthily, undetected, hidden in the grass, and then it pounces in the last minute. It pounces when the distance, is a short distance it needs to run, and then pounce, on its prey. Now, in that kind of scenario, timing is everything. If you have watched lions hunting, you will have noticed, these documentaries appear all the time, like on National Geographic Channel. If you have tried to observe this, you will notice that many times the lion pounces too early, and it loses its prey. The gazelle, or whatever other poor animal it was targeting, escapes, runs away. It is the same in politics. If you pounce too early, chances are very high that you lose your objective. You'll not be able to get what you want. You need to pounce, 1, when you're at your strongest, 2, when your opponent is at his weakest. Now, after the Luo Nyanza tour, if you've been reading the Kenyan press, and if you have been hearing what people are saying even on social media, Raila Odinga is at his strongest. If DP William Ruto was a gazelle, is exhausted. He has been touring all over the country, giving out money in churches, wooing opposition MPs. Things have been very hectic for the deputy president. And yet, he doesn't have much to show for it. It is now emerging, it is now clear. Sometimes things are not clear immediately in a political situation until you look back several months later. Then it becomes very clear. I've said that several times on this channel. It is now very clear that the initial strategy of the deputy president when the handshake happened was to try and make sure the handshake is frustrated. That is why you heard statements from people like Duale. Duale said, we can have cooperation, we can work together, but forget about being included in government. The way DP Ruto read the situation, and it did most of the country, very many analysts, was that the handshake meant that at some point there would be a kind of coalition government. Raila and his people would be accommodated in the cabinet. And I have to admit that I was one of those analysts who thought that this was a high possibility. But it never happened. And that must have been very, very frustrating for DP Ruto camp. Take a situation where, for instance, you want to mark somebody and you wait on the path that leads to their home. They must pass here. And they'll be on foot. Then after persevering the cold night for many hours, waiting, finally your prey passes. However, he doesn't pass on foot. He speeds past in a motorcade of about 3 cars. That is very frustrating. And so when the political appointment finally came, it was not a political appointment within the borders of Kenya. It was a political appointment at the African Union. And so the DP Ruto camp moved to plan B. They started talking about how Raila, since he has now been appointed outside the country, should stay out of local politics. That was a very lame one. And it clearly showed signs of an opponent who is weakening, quickly running out of ideas and options. To cut a long story short, finally came the grand tour to Nyanza by President Kenyatta with Raila Odinga. DP Ruto found himself in a very difficult position because he could not come out and strongly support the handshake, because doing so would be killing his dream. His only play in this situation was to side with Raila Odinga in order to get support from Raila Odinga crowd, which of course was a non-starter because he had absolutely no funds in the Raila Odinga bank. He has been spending the last couple of months saying every nasty thing, firing every possible shot he could towards Raila Odinga. There was no way, no matter how hard he tried, that he would suddenly turn into a Raila Odinga believer. No way. And so his kati remark was probably the only way out. And now what Raila Odinga has done, the Master Strategist, he has pounced, and he has shut that kati door. So for all intents and purposes, DP William Ruto is trapped. The very clear message from the Luo community to the rest of the country was, if us Luos can forgive and forget and move forward, who else can stand up and say they will not forgive and forget? And that includes the Kalenjin community. And so, politically speaking, Ruto is boxed in. And this is why timing, I started by talking about timing. This is why the timing of Raila Odinga is perfect. Because put yourself in Ruto's shoes for a minute so that you understand this very clearly. You went and you made those remarks about Katikati. Now at your next meeting, of the Tanga squad, what are you going to say? Are you going to say you're against the handshake? Wait a minute. You said you're for it. Literally, because you said unapita katikati. You said you're together with Uhuru and Raila. So you can't go that way. Okay, will you completely come out and fire shots at the handshake? And reject the handshake? And call on Kenyans to reject the handshake? that won't work. Everybody has swung to the side of the handshake. You would need a very good reason to remove them from there. A good reason that does not exist, because all Kenyans want peace, and all Kenyans are now able to see very clearly the benefits of the handshake. So now that we're able to see very clearly where Raila Odinga's remarks were coming from, the next question is a very simple one. What next? Wow, that's a big question. And you'll allow me to drink some water and gather my thoughts and come back in a minute immediately after the upcoming short commercial break. Don't even think of going away. So now we must try our best to answer a very difficult question. What next? Okay, the first thing we need to take note of is that Raila Odinga's latest statement, firing DP William Ruto and telling him that he's not supporting the handshake and telling him to leave politics out of handshake, is also a way of smoking out DP William Ruto. The reason why you smoke out a person is so as to finish them politically. Because one of the reasons you're smoking them out is to expose them. And so the deputy president must now state clearly whether he's for the handshake or against it. Because he has already been told katikati will not work. Being in the middle will not work. He has to decide where he's going to fall. Falling on the side of the handshake will frustrate all his political ambitions, on which he has already spent a huge fortune. Don't dare ask where the money came from. For all intents and purposes, politically, this is a checkmate. There is no way out, unless you want to divert the attention of everybody into something else, and then meanwhile, destroy what is on the chessboard, so that people don't remember where this piece was or where that piece was. Nobody remembers what was happening, so the game has to start again. That is the only play. But remember, overturning the chessboard at this stage is very difficult because all eyes are on you. In fact, all eyes are on you so seriously that if you try and divert attention, people will not look the other way. They'll still be looking at you. And so in reality, the only play left is to accept defeat in this particular game, and then rearrange the chessboard for a rematch. This round you have lost. Because if you dare cause chaos, overturn the chessboard when everybody's looking, and say that game was not fair, then it means you've lost the chance for a rematch. And you really need a rematch. Folks, I'm afraid that's what it is. And I'm especially referring to DP William Ruto supporters. And there are very many of them on this channel. And of course, they're very welcome. We don't have to agree politically to sit down on the same table and eat nyama choma and ugali. Just because we do not agree politically does not mean that we don't agree in other areas. For instance, we may not agree politically, but we can discuss soccer. Maybe both of us are supporters of Arsenal. Now, I've received a few comments on this channel asking me what happened to the Overton prophecy. Obviously, some people think the Overton prophecy is a joke and it never happened and it will never happen. Which is okay, that doesn't make me angry. As you know, we welcome all kinds of different views here. However, if what I have said on this video is true, then isn't that a major, very major overturn? Look at what we had before and look at what we clearly have now on the table. Anyway, I'm not forcing you to see things my way. And indeed, very shortly, I'll do a proper, very intensive update on the overturn prophecies. So that you agree or disagree with me. At least we discuss this further. But for now, definitely what has happened, what has unfolded, can be classified, must be classified as something very, very major on our political scene. To me, Raila Odinga coming out for the very first time, to respond and attack DP William Ruto is a signal. A signal for what? A signal for the final showdown. A showdown between who and who? A showdown between the Handshake, and the DP Ruto camp. In my view, that is what it really is. Until next time, this is Kshs, Kumekucha.